Hi, Divya.
Hi,
So, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great, thank you. So, guys, today's session is regarding, sleep training. Rather, we can say baby-led sleep training because this is not something which is going to be fussy or frustrating. So now you know that this session is going to be really, really interesting. So, guys, for all those who doesn't know Divya, she is a hands-on mom of 18 months old toddler, lives in New Jersey, USA, and she is a PhD scientist by profession and a YouTuber as well. When I came across her bio, I was pretty much inspired and impressed because the way she was looking at things, the way she was dealing with every aspect of motherhood in a scientific way, it was really motivating. And when I spoke to her, she told me she so beautifully she has sleep trained her daughter. It was with so much ease. So I thought this is something which is really which is going to be really helpful for all the struggling parents out there. So here she is to share her experience and workarounds with us today. So Divya, on to you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Divya, for having me here. So, of course, like I also really, really like your profile. I have actually been following you for a while, and I really like how chirpy and how happy and energetic you are in everything that you put out. So, yeah, I'm glad to be here and I'm glad to share my experience on sleep training. Especially because sleep training sometimes is taken as something which is associated with a lot of crying, which is actually not true in reality. There are different ways of sleep training your baby, and on in some of my posts also I've highlighted that why things happen, and why new parents should actually not worry at certain things and how they can approach towards like better sleep
Guys, you should
habits.
actually check her profile. She's having absolutely amazing posts which are really helpful. So do check her page out. It's going to be really helpful for you all.
Yeah, thank you so much. So yeah, do you want to wait or should we go about
We can continue. We
yeah,
can continue.
okay. So maybe I can actually just start with my experience a little bit. So as you mentioned that I live in US. So the biggest problem, the drawback, is that we don't have too much family support. So we don't have family around, and it's just me, my husband, and my daughter. So it becomes very difficult to manage everything, and especially when both the parents are working. And so I think that is why adjusting the sleep, or having a proper sleep routine or sleep habit was actually very essential for us, because that ways both of us, both the baby and us, we can be at peace and we can
Right.
get good sleep. And those are some of the habits, if you instill from the very beginning, they can actually go on for a while, and they can be really helpful when they move towards their toddlerhood and even like
Correct.
grow older. So since so newborns, actually I wouldn't recommend doing any kind of sleep training or anything, because they're too young. They really need
Right.
the mom, they need the physical attachment and everything. So that is really important, and also their sleep habits and how the sleep habits change over 3 months or over 4 or 5 months is very different. So newborns,
Right.
especially, they actually sleep in very small bouts. So, they're very light sleepers, and there is a reason for that. So I don't think parents should hurry into, having a routine for newborns, because they also need to feed very frequently. So it's really
We would
hard to
love
have.
to hear the reason as well, Divya.
Yeah, so newborns actually, their sleep patterns. So first of all, the main reason is, they need to eat very frequently. So 2 hours, because their stomachs are very small. Okay, so that is very obvious that they are going to wake up. And then the second thing is that when they are born, their melatonin levels, which is the sleep hormone, that level is actually really low. So what it really
Okay.
means is that the circadian rhythm, or your body clock, like as an adult, that when the sun comes up, you have to wake
The
up.
biological clock,
Yeah,
that is it.
biological clock. and by evening you're winding down and you're going to sleep by night.
Right.
I think for newborns that clock is not yet set because they're very new to the world, so they really don't know. So that is why their sleep is actually very in short intervals, and they basically go from a very light sleep stage to a deep sleep, but they spend most of their time in light sleep, which is a sleep when they are most vulnerable to actually waking up. So even like they'll be twitching and everything, and they can wake up very easily. So sometimes what happens is with newborns, if the newborn is actually moving and they are trying to kind of twitch around and so on, parents might think that, oh, they are waking up, but that is not necessarily true. So either they can wake up completely or either they will go back to sleep. So I think parents, for newborns actually, parents should hold off a moment and then see if the child is actually really waking up or if they can go back to sleep on their own, and never
Okay.
actually rush into getting them to sleep train or anything. But in fact, I think the physical attachment which I described, like the breastfeeding, and most of the moms do that. So I think that is something which they are also very comfortable with, and that
Right.
actually tends to regulate their sleep as well. So I think whatever they need, like feeding on demand, or even if they want to sleep, via breastfeeding and everything, sleep with you, it's all fine, rocking and everything. So I think the only thing which you can do with newborns is actually to have a routine, which is the night routine. So if you want to
Okay.
actually bathe the child, or if you want to massage, because massage actually really helps with that, with the
Right.
sleep in general. So if you want to have that kind of a thing, then you can do that at night, and that will actually help eventually. But it's
Right.
only when the child actually goes up to like sometimes 3 months to 5 months it can take for them to regulate their sleep in sense of like having longer sleep times.
Okay. So by
So
what age should we introduce sleep training? By what age?
So if somebody wants to introduce sleep training, or okay, so first of all, having a night routine is very different than introducing like sleep training. So night routine is something when you're preparing the child that okay, now it's time to sleep, so I can give you a bath, I can massage you, and I can read you a book, and whatever, like for newborns I can swaddle you. Okay, now it's time, I will put you to sleep. That you can introduce from the very beginning. But in terms of sleep training, having a proper schedule and actually making the child, learn how they could actually fall back to sleep by themselves, that I think parents can start doing once the child is 6 months or over.
Okay.
So I think that is particularly the time when I think they are more stable in terms of their circadian rhythms and their routine. You'll see that they start
A
developing the
little
routine.
adjusted to the biological clock. So
Yeah, yeah. So at that time, when you introduce that schedule according to their biological clock, the natural times when they would wake up, the natural times when they will go back to sleep and so on, that actually can be done. And that is the time where you can actually, put them in a proper routine with the daytime naps and everything so
right.
that it helps them sleep better at night as well. Yeah.
Okay. So let's just like we would like to hear your experience, your workarounds with sleep training your daughter. How did you do it? And then we can get along with other questions which we got.
Yeah,
So you
sure.
can start with the experience.
Yeah. So, I think with my daughter, since she was 3 months, I started noticing a pattern in her sleep. I was noticing that, there was a fixed time in the morning at 6 a.m. when she would wake up. And then she would go back to sleep at around like, 8 or something. Then she would wake up at 10. And, there was a regular time when she was doing it. I think I was lucky because she was like very punctual about everything. And also in the evening, there was a time like 9 o'clock, she would actually be ready to wind down. You could see, like, she'll get drowsy and she would be
Right.
sleeping. Initially, I was noticing it, but I was kind of ignoring it a little bit. Okay, because I will be like, okay, it's light, she will wake up eventually and so on. But as she grew older, I noticed that these patterns were becoming stronger. So
Okay.
she was actually sleeping for a longer time, and there were like fixed times. So what I did was I actually spent a lot of time looking at her timings of when she would wake up naturally, or when she would be very drowsy in the evening, that she would be ready for bed. And during the daytime, catching those sleep cues like yawning, or pulling your
Yeah.
ear, and
Yeah.
staring and
Getting
so on.
irritated and frustrated, kind of.
Yeah. So those things I started noticing, and I made actually a nice table, a nice chart of like, those times. And then I found that there was specific windows where this would happen. And then I actually made a proper schedule for her, keeping, the awake times. Awake times are basically the times, the maximum amount of time they should be awake between two naps, or between, naps and so on. So I took
Yeah.
that into account, which is actually very different for different age groups.
Right.
So based on her age group, I took into account and I made a schedule for her. And then at that time, I was breastfeeding her to sleep. Okay. So I made sure that I was sticking to that routine of like, following that time, even though I had to like breastfeed her to sleep every time, which was fine.
Yeah.
I just wanted her to sleep at a certain time where she would naturally go to sleep. So
Right.
that ways it became very easy for me to put her to sleep, because she was already kind of sleepy.
Yeah.
So, having that schedule is important, and then having that night routine of, certain things that you do, bath and all other things. So I made sure we were actually following it properly every single night. So, like being consistent with it. And then after a while, when she was used to this routine, then actually I started putting her in the crib by herself, and then I would just pat her down when it was like her bedtime. And
By
she
which
was,
age?
I think that was around like 8 months. Yeah,
Okay.
7 to 8 months. And then I would just pat her down, and I would sit near her, and she would be like already drowsy, kind of, in a sleepy state. And then I would just kind of pat her and hug her and everything, put her in the crib, and, sit till she's actually settled a little bit. And then I would leave the room. But at that time, her crib was also in our room. So those that process actually kept on going, and then she actually started falling asleep by herself at that time. And then it was only at a certain later age when she actually grew even more, and she started to stand up in the crib. So that is the time we decided to actually move her to her own room. And the reason was because at night she would actually stand up and like stare at us. So I think it was like her sleep was getting disturbed and our sleep was getting disturbed.
Right.
So we decided to move her to her own room. And I think since we moved her to her own room, her sleep has been really great. And she has been like sleeping. And by that time, she, of course, knew how to go back to sleep by herself. So I think that was actually wonderful for both her and for us as well. And now she is 19 months almost. And I have to say that I haven't had that many sleep problems just because of these issues. And I know sleep regression is a big thing, which happens a lot. But there is research around this area that sleep regression is something which doesn't always happen with all the kids. And then the sooner you actually have that night routine, or the sooner you have like a routine in place, it actually helps with the sleep regression, because it only lasts for some time, and then the kids actually learn how to adjust and go to sleep by themselves. Yeah.
Yeah, Mommy Mahe is asking that own room at which month?
I think it was probably around like 11 months or 1 year that I kind of like we moved her to our own room, and her room is actually just next to us. But we do have a video camera in the room, which actually oversees her crib all the time. So it's not like we left her. We do have a
Right.
video monitor, we have a sound monitor, so we always, whenever, if she's crying, or like if she wakes up, we know what is going on in her room. and we
Right.
always like see what is going on so that we can attend to her needs if something is wrong. Yeah.
Right. We have got another question. My son is 5 years old and he's scared to sleep by himself. What could we do for the same?
Yeah, I think since I have only experience with my daughter who's just toddler, so 5 years, I believe, I think probably you could like assist him to sleep, but I cannot comment on that more because it's like a
Right.
bigger
Because
kid. Yeah.
I think that as you said, sleeping is personal choice. So
Yes.
it's I guess it's okay if the kid is scared. I believe that behind every behavior there is a belief in the child. So it is better to search that belief, what belief is disturbing your son to sleep alone, so that you can work on it. Because 5 years is something their brain is matured enough where you can speak to your kid openly about the
Yeah.
problem and you both can sort it out. So, like as you said, no, like sleep regression is something which is completely new in India. Why? Because new in the sense it's not new, but it is somehow not being implemented. For me, also, it was very difficult
Hmm.
because till my baby was 20 months, I guess, or 22 months.
Yeah.
Till then, she was facing the disturbing sleeps, and there was not a consistent throughout the night sleep. Somehow
Yeah.
things were disturbing. But I am really glad to know that you sleep train your daughter at really really encouraging to all of us that at
Hmm.
age of 1 year you were able to completely sleep train your child. That is really nice. Got one more question. Thanks for answering my question. I also have a baby of 3 months, so by when we could put her to sleep by herself?
Yeah, so I think 3 months, I would still wait. I would wait for about like they get to like 6 months. But by by during that time, actually, you can always have like a consistent routine, which is like a night routine, and put them into practice. But because by 3 months, I think they're able to recognize the cues that okay, now it's bath time, now it's massage time, so I'm getting ready to sleep. The next
Sleep.
step is sleep, so they know that what is coming next. So I
Right.
think by that time you could do that. And by 3 months, also the babies are actually waking up at night, right? To feed. I mean, they have to. So I guess you could attend to their needs in that way, but only after they turn 6 months. I think I would suggest putting that routine into place. And if you want, you can actually go to my feed. You can check out the routines I have, and I also have the awake windows and the daytime naps and so on. Actually, there's one trick or one thing which is really helpful, which is when they wake up in the morning, then there's usually the first morning nap. And the morning nap, I don't know how many people actually pay attention to the morning nap, but morning nap is the most critical nap of the day because that sets the routine for the entire day. So, for
Okay.
example, if my baby, when she was like 7 months, let's say, then the awake window or like the time when she could stay awake is like 3 hours, let's say 2 to 3 hours, right? So, if she would wake up at 7, then I know that 10 is the maximum that, she would stay awake without me over tiring her, because if she stays awake for a longer time, she might actually get very tired and then she'll get cranky and fussy, and then it'll be very difficult to put her to sleep.
Right. Right.
So I chose a time which is in between, so let's say like 9:30, and I tried to put her to sleep at that time, and it was very easy because that was like the time when she started showing sleeping cues as well, and it was within her window, the awake window time. So I was not over tiring her. So actually, it was easier to put her to sleep. And then that actually puts the entire routine into place because it's much easier to follow that routine and put them to sleep later during bedtime, actually.
Right. nice trick actually.
Yeah.
Like for my daughter, how it was going on was one massage auntie used to come, and
Yeah.
she used to massage her at around 7 or 8 in the morning, and after massage, my daughter used to sleep for a long time, like 2 hours
Yeah.
or so. So my question is, morning sleeps, does it really affect the night routine or the night sleep? Does it have
No.
any impact? Like for example, if a baby is sleeping more in the morning, then is it really impacting the night sleep duration?
No, I think at the night, what really would impact is, or like if you're having difficulty putting them sleep at night, there could be many reasons. First is, for example, if you set the time as like, let's say 7:30, you want to put them to sleep. So what really happens is that you know that your awake time is 2 to 3 hours, let's say. Okay. And if you're letting your child sleep till 6 in the evening and you still want to put them to sleep at 7:30, then that's not going to
That
happen.
will happen.
So
Right.
I think you need to be mindful of, the time in between the two naps and then the time when you follow the night routine. I think the daytime naps is very essential for the night sleep, but you need to, time your daytime naps as well. And when you do it according to their body clock and what they usually, follow, then it's very natural that, they would wake up at a certain time and so on. So I don't think the only thing which is going to affect is what I told you. Like if you let them sleep for a later duration of time and then you're expecting, okay, why they are not falling asleep in 1.5 hours, then that's not going to happen. And also, like if they are overtired, then it will be even more difficult because they'll be so hyperactive and they just don't know what to do, and they'll be all cranky and fussy. So that is also something which really affects their sleep at night.
Right. That's what I got one question that my child is 1.5 year old and is hyperactive just at the sleep time, even though she doesn't oversleep in a day. And one more related question I got is, मेरी बेबी 16 मंथ्स की है, दिन में 3 बार ब्रेस्ट फीडिंग देती है, बट रात को बहुत परेशान करती है सोते समय.
Yeah, I
So
think in both the cases, I would recommend it's probably more important to check the timing of the sleep. So I know it's very difficult for parents to follow an early. No, it's very difficult for parents to follow an early bedtime, and sometimes when you have family members around, then it's like okay, 11 बजे भी सो जाए, 10 बजे भी सो जाए, हम 10 बजे सोते हैं तो बेबी को भी 10 बजे सुलाते हैं and all that. But that actually doesn't really work. I mean, if you have to stay awake, that doesn't really mean that the baby has to stay awake till 10, because
right.
in general they tend to wake up early, and then they are actually, according to like their biological clock and everything, they are early, what do you call, their timing for going to sleep is actually
Makers.
early. Yeah, early. So I think it's very important to know that, because if they are sleepy and if you are still trying to keep them awake, they are obviously going to be very overtired and fussy, and it will be very difficult to put them to sleep then. And the same thing actually happens in adults also, right? I mean,
Yeah.
when you're overtired, then you are like suddenly awake and then you have difficulty like falling asleep. But there is a time when you're naturally like very drowsy and you want to go to sleep. So if you resist that, you might have actually noticed that, like all the people who work late, they suddenly like are night owls. So
Right.
that actually affects their entire day and everything. So I think the same goes for babies as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
actually, but the question that is asked is, they're not sleeping in the day as well, and they're not sleeping in the night as well, because in the night they're becoming more hyperactive. That is what is being said. So actually, this is the same. This was the same case when my daughter was around, 1 or 1.5 year.
Yeah.
Uh, then I figured out that they have that separation anxiety that
Yeah.
comes into action. They somehow get so anxious that they want to play exactly when you want them to sleep.
Yeah.
So, as you said, how in this situation, how things work is that we can have a night routine along
Yes.
with them. For example, be with them throughout the routine. For example,
Yeah.
if you're
Hmm.
reading a storybook, or you can just hug her and tell the
Yeah.
stories, just switch off the light and be with her, so that it will be they'll not be more anxious, they'll be secured, safe, and they know that okay, mom is with me, so nothing is going to be wrong, and they'll be happy sleeping. So this way, if we set the routine, maybe it will help, because this is how
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah. I think one another recommendation that I can make for the separation anxiety is usually when the child is like over 1 year, there's something called a lovey, right? Like an soft, not soft toy exactly. It's called lovey, which they can take to bed and hug them
Okay.
and
It's
sleep
like a
with them.
soft toy.
Yeah, but it's called a lovey, which is not really a soft toy, but
I'm sorry, I
anything,
don't know.
no, no, I think like anything which they are very dear, which is very dear to them, they can hold it. My daughter still has
Okay.
that. I started with a very small, soft kind of a thing, which she was very attached to, and like during the day she would play with it. At night, actually, she wanted to go to sleep with that thing, and it
Okay.
was like a elephant shaped kind of very soft cloth toy kind of a thing, and not toy, but which she can hold and she can hug. And I used to actually pat her, my daughter, and then she started mimicking me, and she used to use that toy, and she'll be like, oh,
Yeah.
like go to sleep and so on.
Imitating.
Yeah, imitating me. So I think that was something which was helpful during that separation anxiety phase
Right,
as
right.
well.
That
And of
is
course,
right.
like when they
Right.
are going through separation anxiety phase, are obviously there to assist them during the entire routine and like pat them. And as they grow a little bit older, they're able to understand you better. So you are able to say like, okay, it's nighttime, and then I'm going to come back in the morning. I think they're more afraid of the thing that you're not going to come back. But
Right,
once
right.
they realize that you're going to come back, I think it gets much easier.
That's what. Yeah,
Yeah.
right. So, one more question is that what is an optimal sleep environment for a baby, and what kind of sleeping aids are helpful for baby sleep?
Okay, so I think with respect to the sleep environment, one thing which I found is first and foremost, one thing which has really, really helped me is keeping the room dark. So I know that sometimes people don't, pay attention to the darkness of the room, but I think the more
Most
darker
of the
you,
times.
yeah, but the more darker you have the room, the better it is. Because there was one time when my daughter used to actually wake up at, let's say, 5 a.m. Okay. And I was wondering, like, why she's waking up at 5 a.m. because I know her feeding time is like 6 a.m. So I think that was something which I adjusted. I put the dark blinds in the room, so which made the room completely dark, and that was actually something which really helped. In addition to that, paying attention to like the white noise, which is more, for the soothing purposes, and also actually to keep the other noises away. While they are sleeping, they can sleep peacefully, and you can work or do whatever. So those are the things. And the lovey I told you, as like when she grew older, that is something which also helped. Then the temperature of the room, which
Right.
was actually adjusting it to something where she wasn't like feeling really hot or really cold. And then the clothes that she was wearing, so if she was wearing PJs, or I would have like when she was young, of course, having the swaddle. And then when she grew a little bit older, then having the sleep sack, which was comfortable for her, and she could still like stretch her legs and arms, and she could like freely move around. But having those kind of things, and then if parents are using a pacifier, I did not use it. But if parents are using it, then some parents do use it, some parents don't. Or some kids actually suck on their thumb, which is also a kind of a natural process.
Yeah.
At the younger age, it's a more like, if you're breastfeeding them to sleep, which is okay. So those are kind of the things, but having that environment in the room is kind of very critical. Providing them,
Did you use
yeah,
the white noise?
I did. Actually, that was a
Okay.
lifesaver. Yeah. I did
Okay.
use that white noise. It was very helpful. Yeah. I think
Okay.
it just not only her, but actually made me also sleep. I think it has that kind of effect. Yeah, but I
Okay.
did use that. Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So we have got one
And
question by yeah.
another thing which I have to say is because we stay in a very cold and dry climate. So I think one thing which we do is use a humidifier, because
Okay.
humidifier basically keeps that humidity in the room, so they are less likely to wake up because of blocked nose or any other kind of thing, stuffy nose. So that
Right.
usually really helps in that kind of a situation.
Yeah, we got one more question by Baby Ricky. It
Yeah.
says, at what age should we start sleeping routine to my baby? So yeah, it is as Divya has already mentioned that sleep schedule can be started from 6 months, but it may take a while. It's not a one day, it will take constant efforts. You can include nighttime routine as well to make the baby get used to the day and the night schedules. Yeah, so I guess that answers the question. And any other question, guys, you can just comment down.
Yeah, I think one thing I would like to say is with the newborns, probably if people wonder about the sleep environment and everything, like even for newborns, having a dark room is actually really nice and a noise-free environment. So don't turn on the TV or music. Like even if you
Yeah,
think that the child is probably not that receptive to the noise, sometimes people put the baby in the living room when they're watching TV
right.
and expect them to sleep. So I think like try to
But
avoid
it
that.
disturbs the sleep routine as
Yeah,
well.
try to avoid that and keep the lights off.
And also,
Those
what
are the
happens is
things.
because of the combined families or things like
Yes.
that, people keep on coming and going out of the
Yeah.
room. That also disturbs the
That,
baby.
yes. Yeah. Yeah. So I
So
think
as
those
far
are
as
the
possible,
things.
it's better to
Yeah.
have a separate room for both mother and baby, or so
Yeah.
that things would be more comfortable.
Because my baby's 5.5 months and at night he stays lashed. Is it normal? So I think 5.5 months, they will be waking up at night to actually breastfeed. But you can always notice when they are done feeding or they are actually just being lashed because of comfort. So I think that is something, and I know babies do that, especially like when you're
Yeah.
co-sleeping on the same bed, they would definitely do that. My daughter did it. So it's kind of very normal. And slowly, if you notice that, they have fallen asleep, you can remove the latch and let them sleep. So I
Yeah.
think that is something you can do. But if you realize that, this feeding thing is not really feeding, but it's only for comfort, you can know the difference
Right.
between the two. Yeah.
So yeah, I guess that's about it.
Okay.
So thank you guys. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you Divya for joining this live session. It was really, really wonderful having you and it was super informative. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank
So
you. I think lastly, I would just probably say this because this is the biggest myth which people have, that sleep training
sure.
doesn't have to be cry it out. I mean, you don't, it
Yeah.
doesn't necessarily mean that the baby will cry, cry, cry. It is the different methods. And what I adopted was a gentle baby-led sleep method. So I think you can do it if you want. And yeah, it's not associated with just crying. So hopefully
That
that was
was really
helpful.
helpful. Why? Because it it's super exhausting when child cries the entire night. We really don't know why the child is crying, and things get super frustrating as well.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
we feel like okay, the baby doesn't want to sleep, or maybe the stomach ache, or we really don't know because especially with the newborn.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think
So
newborns also, okay, I'm speaking too much, but newborns also have a period of purple crying, which is, a period where they tend to actually cry, which is actually a very normal period of crying. So I think parents could be mindful of that as well. So the more you're aware of the things that happen at newborn stage and how they kind of change, at a later stage when they become infant or toddlers, the better it is for you to figure out how you can do things which will be better for the baby, and for and less worrisome and less stressful for you.
Very
Yeah,
true.
yeah.
We have got one more question, Divya. What helps baby sleep overnight?
Okay. What helps them? I think, as I mentioned, there are a couple of things. So first, the night routine, which is very important, doing certain steps in a certain fashion every night
You can explain
consistently.
what night routine is, like what
Okay.
can be included in the night routine as well.
Yeah, sure. So usually we start with the dinner. So once she's like done with the dinner, we will take her up and we'll give her a bath, and then we would actually massage her, and then we would read her a storybook, or like initially it was reading a storybook and then breastfeeding her to sleep or rocking her to sleep. Now it is more like giving her milk, brushing her teeth, and everything, and then putting her to sleep afterwards, reading the stories and everything. So all those things can be included in the night routine. Another tip is, if you want, you can actually put some lavender oil in the bath when you're giving a bath, just in the water a little bit. That
Is
the
it the essential oil you're talking
Yeah,
about?
yeah, it's just the smell of it actually sometimes
Okay.
helps with the soothing part of it. So
Okay, but
whatever,
I
yeah.
guess I have read somewhere that essential oils are not, safe for babies,
No,
things
no,
like
you
that.
don't put them on their body, just like a tiny drop, just for the smell.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, okay.
I used it actually for a little bit, not too long, once she got used to it, but I thought it was just the smell which was kind of really good. But anyways, I guess the night routine is one thing which is important. Then having a proper daytime naps as well. So don't ignore the daytime naps. If according to the age, if your baby requires 2 to 3 naps, then try to make that naps like 2 to 3, or try to have those number of hours in the day that they can actually sleep, and then that will actually make it very easier for you to put them to sleep at night. And the third thing is actually tuning your schedule, or tuning everything according to their body clock. So don't force anything. Try to observe first what are those natural timings when they usually go to sleep, and then try to figure out to implement your steps, your night routine, and everything that you're trying to implement around those times, so that you don't have to struggle with them. And then, most importantly, of course, is also the sleep environment, which we talked about, and not over tiring the baby.
Right.
And of course, if you want to put the baby to sleep on their own crib and everything, it doesn't necessarily mean that you can just leave the room and not attend to them. You can always use a lot of other sleeping aids, which is like a camera or a sound machine, or something through which you know what the baby is going through, because the different cries of the baby could mean different things. So
Very true.
when they are really in pain, or when they are really, like, it's out of hunger, you would know it as a mom.
Yeah.
And obviously you're not going to leave the baby there. So I think there needs to be this point needs to be made, so that I think it's better for you. And as a parent, if you feel that you need to go and pick up the baby and soothe them, pat them, yes, for sure, do it. You know,
Right.
yeah,
So what I can do is I can when I post this into IGTV this video, so I can do what I can do is I can make a list of like age wise how many naps are required and maybe
yeah.
the duration, so that things will be more clear, that like whether my baby is going on schedule or no. So that will be a little bit of help. So I can do that. So I guess that's
Yeah, sure.
about it.
Yeah, sure. So, and if anybody wants to check out, I do have some routines and the awake times on my feed as well. So, if people want to have it for their own reference, they can do that.
Okay, that's great then.
Yeah, yeah.
That's great.
Okay.
Okay then.
Yeah. Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much.
Divya. Thank
Yeah.
you
Thanks
so
for
much.
having me. Yeah. Bye.
Yeah, thank you so much. It was totally my pleasure. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you.